this hour. Now, latest reports say the Central Bank of Nigeria has begun debiting the accounts of banks accused of illegal repatriation of $8.1 billion for telco operator MTN Nigeria. Well, Bismarck Rewane, a chief executive officer of financial derivatives, now joins me to take a look at the impact of the latest updates of this face-off. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yeah,
I guess we're not going to hear the last of this whole MTN and CBN story. In fact,
not for a long time.
The headline now we have the AG, the Office of the AGF has actually joined in on this. Now the question is where the money is going to go to. But let's just step back a bit. What do you make of what is really playing out at the moment? The banks, of course, CBN is taking what it wants. Stanbic on one side is saying, look, we're not sure what you're talking about here. But how do you see this playing out?
No, but let's get the facts straight first and foremost. First and foremost, whose money are we talking about? The money, whether it's in Naira or in dollars, belongs to MTN.
Okay.
Profits earned.
Yes.
Taxes paid. Dividends declared. The question is that, was the documentation used for repatriation of this dividend, was it complete or incomplete? Was there approval in principle in 2007? And then in 2018, you now come up and say, yes, the documents were not, totally exactly the way it should be.
Yes.
But that's number one. Two, $3 million is the equity we are talking about. $410 million came in. $3 million of this was used as equity. Even if you declared 1,000% dividend profit, there's no way that $3 million can earn you $8 billion. So the $8 billion is dividend on the entire equity of MTN over this 11 years period. Fact number one. Fact number two is that in this period, MTN as a dominant player has invested nothing less than $1.5 billion a year over in fact, almost $20 billion over this period. Fact number two. So $8 billion return on equity, dividend declared after taxes paid, filed and everything went out. About $20 billion invested. So inflow of capex was about $20 billion. Outflow of dividend was about $8 billion. Net, Nigeria gained about $12 billion. Thirdly, in law, there's what we call the statute of limitation. After 6 years, you can't even bring up. So if you take 6 years, anything before 2012 should not be an issue. But having said that, the government has its sovereignty, has its authority. The central bank supervises the banks, not the telcos. The telcos are supervised by the NCC. So the central bank has the right to investigate and tell the banks, we have the documents, and have their findings. But that's their responsibility, and they have, there's no question about that. But when you look at it and think that these banks, the 4 banks in question, and 3 of them being leading international banks, which come under multiple jurisdiction. In other words, the Citibank comes under the ambit of the controller of currency in the United States, which is a very aggressive regulator. They investigate everything. Over these years, Citibank has to sign a letter of authority every month, that they have not breached any local laws. For the past 11 years, they've been doing that. Apart from that, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, also who guarantees depositors in the United States of Citibank, also audits Citibank. Federal Reserve audits, Controller of Currency audits, FDIC audits, Citibank International audit. Then let's go to Standard Chartered. Financial Conduct Authority, Financial Prudent Authority in the UK, audit them. Their own international audit. The Central Bank of Nigeria, NDIC audit. South African Reserve Bank audits Stanbic. Stanbic also has a 25%, I think, in shareholding from the Chinese, where we are also going. So I keep on saying that it's very unlikely that everybody would have missed these supposed...
Are you saying in this case there is no smoke, there is no fire?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it is very unlikely.
Yes.
Banks get fined and penalized every year in the world, Dutch, everybody, But it has to be very clear and specific infractions. So having said that, let's leave that. Then it comes to the company itself. What is the impact of this on the company, the industry? The market capitalization of MTN Group was 10, 11, as of today, is down to about $8 billion, even less than that. So the refund of this money, don't forget the refund of this money, the Central Bank of Nigeria says, bring the dollars back and keep it in Naira, and we will buy back from you the dollars at the rate at which you took it back in 2007, which was probably around 20, after 11 years.
Yes.
Yes, okay, sorry we missed it, but now go and bring it back. And what has happened? The stock of MTN and, of course, Moody's. So other investors are saying, look, you know what? If this can happen to MTN, who has invested about $20 billion over the past 11 years in this industry, what's going to happen to us? So you can either have a collaborative regulatory and policy environment, or you can have a combative. But the truth is that these days, because of the exogenous shocks that can come, you tend to want to actually work together. Okay. And guess what is interesting is in these years in question, the chairman of MTN Group happens to be a gentleman called Cyril Ramaphosa, who has a different title right now in South Africa. So, you are seeing the wider ramifications of what we're talking about.
Yes.
I think that's
clearly what. Now, clearly from what you've said, this is not the proper way the government should have gone about it, the CBN or whoever should have gone about it. Well, the AGF is really strong on some kind of investigation and some sort of whistleblowing that led to the investigation that we have on ground. The major headline today is the fact that the AGF on one side is saying whatever money is collected should be sent to a special account, and the CBN on the other side says you have no business is what's playing out. So besides the kind of signal it's sending out,
there are two different payments.
Okay, yeah, sure.
$8 billion is dividends which purportedly was irregularly, not illegally, irregularly transferred. So bring it back, we'll buy the dollars from you, we'll give you your Naira, and then you come and apply and take it out. Forget about the translation loss, that comes with the territory.
Yes.
Second one is that there was a shortfall in import duties and all of that. Okay. Guess what?
What?
KPMG, MTN engaged KPMG. KPMG, they sent 80 boxes of documents to the government to go and look at, let's check, verify. If, in fact, MTN did not pay the duty, they are liable. They should pay.
Yes.
But you have to do that after an assessment of an event. So those boxes and those documents are there. The federal government will look through them, and then all payments are disputed. Yeah. You dispute it, and then you come back and they'll resolve it. So it hasn't got to the stage of saying, go and pay now or else you. So that's
keep that on one side.
Import duty, taxes, and all that. And that's why KPMG, leading firm, goes there, 80 boxes of documents, so many officials, they'll review it, and maybe at the end of the day, at times they tell you that you are owing $1 billion.
Yes.
Then it turns out that they are actually owing you $1 billion. So that's not it. The question of remitting dollars as dividend, because dividend is the return on investment.
Yes.
And when, after paying $286 million as the license fee, investing capex over the years, building the subscriber base to this level, then you ask yourself, the dominant player is on the ropes right now. T-Salat or Nine Mobile is dangling out there. So what happens to the industry? What happens when there's no capex? What happens to your payment system? What happens to your POSs? What happens to your ATMs? What happens to your airline booking system? What happens to everything? And more than anything else, what signals are we sending to other investors?
I guess we've actually made that very clear earlier. I mean, many are beginning to worry, especially for what's playing out in Nigeria's financial space and, yes, the telco space.
Yeah, you can see,
recovering from Nine Mobile, and now it's
FPI. Yes. The investors are saying, look. I don't know. I don't want to be around when But having said that, let's make it clear: the government of every country has a responsibility and a right to enforce their laws. Yes. And companies in Nigeria, MTN and everybody, Shell, must comply with the local laws. Yeah. But there should be some consistency. And enforcement of rights, enforcement of laws must be done in a manner that is transparent, open, best practice. If not, investors will take their cue. And like they said, when the unknown unknowns are more than the known unknowns, then there's investment paralysis.
Fantastic closing there. Thank you so much, Bismarck Rewane, CEO of Financial Derivatives.